How do Asians express love? Hello everybody, welcome back to After Hour Happy Hour. We are your chaotic but cathartic co-hosts. I'm Jamila.
I'm Vicky. I'm Sharon.
For this week's AAPI episode, we are focusing on how do Asians express love.
Yes, we are, Jamila. Don't sound so confused about love right now.
As we all know, love in an Asian household could be kind of foreign, so don't blame me for sounding confused.
The first question is, what do you think the difference between Asian culture versus Western culture love and affection is? Not think, what do you know and have experienced?
So what I've noticed in the difference between the way that Western culture express love and Asian culture express love is that in Western culture is more with words. I dated a white ex and I've seen their families and it was a lot of I love you, honey. In Asian culture, it's definitely more actions. My parents rarely ever say I love you, but they, cut their fruits for me, they cook for me, and they do my chores for me, my laundry for me. So
Jam and I are probably more relatable when it comes to how we receive love and give love to our parents versus Vicky. We'll get to that later, but I was gonna say the exact same thing pretty much. They prioritize our education, they prioritize things that are indirect than the words I love you. And so actions speak louder than words, I think is a strong saying in Asian culture, or it's just everybody knows that our parents do more than they say.
I feel like I'm in a very Western but also not Western kind of love because I grew up saying I love you to my parents, but it wasn't because they said it to me or my sister. It was because me and my sister would force it out of them. And I think over time, because we would be like, say it back, they would get used to it, and then now it's normal, versus for a lot of people, they can't even fathom the idea of saying that to their parents.
So my brother, I think he grew up with more the Western kind of mentality, so even now in every of our phone call, at the end of it, he would just say I love you, and I'll be like I love you. Yeah, you too.
Wait, so okay, I don't know if we want to include this or not, but you have told your parents I love you?
Yeah, I've told them when I'm drunk.
Oh, right.
Those 3 words specifically, but my parents just know that I do love them because actions to them means more than the words.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll have commentary after, but Vicky, finish.
I think the biggest difference between me and my family in Western culture is I kind of have to work harder for their love. I'm not afraid, and I'm not afraid to force it out of them, but it doesn't come easily from my parents, which is the Asian aspect of them, I guess. But because me and my sister are I think it helps that we're both daughters and you guys have brothers. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know. But we're both daughters, and so we're more eggyo and cute sometimes to our parents, and we kind of force them to be loving to us, which is kind of sad that we have to force them.
Because you know how it is a cultural thing for whatever reason? I feel since we're all first-gen Asian Americans, it's normal, even more normal for us that we don't really say I love you back and forth. Versus I feel second-gen, because their parents grew up in America, maybe they're more westernized, so it's more common to say I love you. Versus first-gen and maybe people who grew up and live in Asia, it's a lot less common. But I also don't know because it's not I talk to my cousins and be do you tell your parents I love you? So I don't know. I could just be assuming, but that just popped up in my head.
Yeah, so I agree. My cousins live in Hong Kong and they don't say I love you or anything to their parents now that they're older. Maybe when they're younger. I think when we're all younger, we did it, but now that they're older, they don't.
As my question is our parents probably have said I love you to us when we're babies. You think? No? That's kind of sad. When you're 5 or 6, they're probably okay, I love you. Or that sounds so weird.
I don't think I've ever said I love you to my parents.
In your 22 years of existence?
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, I grew up so traditional definitely Asian, and like my mom definitely has said, not even in a serious manner, like I love you. It's like jokingly, like 애교, like 사랑해, like like joking, like maybe 2 or 3 times. I will never say it back. But it's not even like I'm intentionally not gonna say it back. I'm just like gay.
That's just you.
But I feel like a lot of people will be able to relate to that. No.
I mean, I'm sure.
I feel like if you're not Asian, it's very easy to be like, that's not a healthy relationship, where there's something wrong, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not.
Actually, come to think about it, I don't think my dad has ever said
Exactly,
I love you to me.
especially when it's the dad. Like maybe to my mom I have, I just don't remember, but my dad,
I mean, I've said it to my dad, especially when I was younger, but I don't think my dad's ever said it back to me.
oh shit. Dude, why is that a thing?
But I know he does. Because actions, man.
I'm like wondering is because it's an American thing to say I love you, but so all of Asia just like forgoed all 3 words and was like, don't say it. So if you think about it, when you watch dramas, I don't know about Korean dramas, but Chinese dramas, they never say I love you. I don't think I've ever heard those ngongole in a drama.
Like to your parents or like to anyone, like SO included.
Anyone in general. Like those 3 words are so foreign.
Even in dramas, specifically I'm talking about K-dramas, they make a huge deal out of I love you. Like it's so
Yeah.
dramatized. Is that what the right word is? So it has to be a significant amount of people that have trouble or don't say I love you as much to make that big of a deal out of it. So yeah, it's not just us. I should just go bring one of my parents right now and be like, hey mom, hey dad, how come you don't say I love you? Just put them on the spot.
Impromptu interview right now. Bring them in and be like, Mom, Dad, I love you.
Okay, let's not go there.
Wait, remember that time when me and Vicky were drinking and then I heard my mom coming upstairs and I was trying to film her. I was like, Mom, I love you. And she said, thank you. Are you drunk?
Literally, that was so funny.
I thought you were just like drunk or you didn't remember correctly or something, but then you took a video and without even thinking, she said she wasn't even thrown off. She was just like, "Oh, thank you." I was like, "Oh."
She's like, thank you. That's it. Do you think there's unique ways your parents show love? Because the generalized ways, it's like cutting fruits for you or setting you up for success, forcing you to go to Kumon and all those things.
When we say, oh, Asian parents do a lot for their kids, I feel like when a Western person or a non-Asian person hears that, it's like, well, my mom loves me or my parents love me the same way. They do a lot of things for me too. But for example, if I skip a meal or if I don't eat or if I get into an argument with my parents and it's like dinner time, they'll make me eat no matter what. I don't know if that's an Asian thing, but the way that they make sure that I'm always taken care of is like next level. I remember my first year of college, I'm like very particular about my water. Whenever my parents would visit San Diego, not even for me, but because it's close enough where they like go grocery shopping and stuff, they'll bring me gallons of Kirkland water because they know that I'm very picky with my water, and they'll chug it up the elevators, carry it to my dorm where there's like 9 other people living with me and stuff like that. Like little things that they go out of their way, even if you don't ask.
I always say this, but no one in this world would love me the way my mom loves me. I feel like that's why, speaking for myself, like I have such a high, like, I need people to be considerate, is because my parents are so considerate. And it's not even like not waking me up too early and shit, but it's just like they go above and beyond. For example, this might be TMI, but I use a cup for my period. When you use a cup, you have to boil it before and after. And for the longest time, I would just like get a pan and like really like wash it and stuff. But then obviously my mom was like, that's kind of weird. We don't want you to do that. And I was supposed to go out and buy a specific pot or something for it. I just never did. And I ended up not using it for a couple of months. Then randomly, when me and my mom went to Daiso, she like went to a cup section and found like metal, like camping little mugs that you could boil. And I was like, Mom, we don't need more mugs in the house. You don't need to buy it. She was like, not for drinking, it's for your cups to wash. She bought one for me and my sister. And I never in a million years would have thought that she would even think about that, because she doesn't even know what a cup is, let alone the fact that you need to boil it and stuff. And I briefly mentioned to her one time that like, oh, when you use it, you have to boil it. And she thought of buying me that. And I'm just like, mothers are so considerate and like thoughtful.
So we talked about how our parents kind of show love and how we show love in return. Does that affect how you show love to other people outside of family?
Fuck yeah. Actually, no. You guys say I'm fucking weird, so I don't know.
We didn't say you're weird. You said so yourself, and then
Okay,
we
for
agreed.
context, it's because Vicky's so lovey-dovey to
True.
her parents and like her sister too. But then to other people,
Especially her SOs.
like whenever Vicky talks about, I don't know, I'm just throwing a scenario out there. Oh, I saw a couple today and they were so like lovey-dovey, and I was bleh, and I'm like, wait.
Wait, remember it was one of her first days out in Korea, and I think she texted us, I saw this couple holding hands, and I just want to
Yeah. And I'm like, wait.
I swear I'm okay.
You should explain that because I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Okay. I don't even have any clue as to why that's a thing for me. I just am okay with showing love and affection to my parents and my sister. And maybe that's why it like drains all of it out of me. And so when I go to other people, I just don't have it anymore. And I'm like, no, don't touch me. I'm not touching you. We are not. No.
So, in a relationship, how would you say you show love?
Acts of service. I'm like super considerate. I don't know if my exes would agree. But like I feel I'm definitely way more of a actions. Maybe I could do words of affirmation, but it's more so if I can tell that they need it, then I will try to give it to them, like reassurance, or if they're like, "Oh, I'm stressed" and stuff.
If Vicky's partner is like, I'm really stressed, Vicky's like, there.
It's not that bad.
I'm just kidding.
Don't do that.
I'm just kidding. She'll
It's
catch
not that bad. Things that I don't normally do, I'll do for you. And I feel like in other people's minds, it's such a small detail, but I would never do it for anyone and I'll do it for you. But then in my SO's mind, it's just like, you should be doing that for anybody. And I'm like, no, I don't. I just am doing it for you.
So it is similar in like how typical Asian parents show love. So you're more of an action person. And it's not that you don't say I love you to your SO, you just show it through your actions more.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense, but the fact that like coupley things still freak you out, that part I'm like, why? Like when it comes to physical touch, does it make you uncomfortable because it's in a public, like it's public display PDA, or is it even in a private setting you're like, meh?
I think sometimes it still freaks me out. Like even when we're alone.
So do you hold hands with your SO, or do you ever initiate holding hands when you're out with them, or initiate hugging or anything?
When we first date, I never make the first move because I'm too like nervous and it makes me really anxious. And I think in general, I just don't like being touched. I don't know where that came from, but I just don't like being touched. And so when someone initiates something, I'm very aware. Like, you know, in dramas when they dramatize every touch on a knee or a shoulder or the hair or the ear or anywhere, that is exactly me in my brain. Like, if I see in the corner of my eye a guy is like trying to reach for my hands, I like have a mini panic attack and I'm like so awkward. And you know that feeling you get when you're about to like speak in public in front of a lot of people? That's exactly what I get when a guy is about to touch me. And then over time, when I get used to you touching me, then I'm just like, it's fine. And the first time I ever make the move to initiate a touch is also a big deal to me, and I'm very aware of it, but they probably aren't.
So let's just say Jackson or J Park. I just don't give her scenarios here, okay? If J Park was to, you know, just put his hand around you or hold your hand, would you just, no thank you?
Honestly, yeah. I think I would be like, oh. That's why I need someone who is super confident, because it's not a you thing, it's a I have issues thing. So if I flinch and then you get offended, then like, I'm my bad. I don't know what to tell you, fam. You just gotta continue to do it, and then I'll be like, okay, my anxiety is just gonna calm down. It's fine. Not that big of a deal.
It's in those situations where you're gonna have to remind yourself, think before you act.
I like flinch. I'm like, wait, I can't.
Yeah, don't visibly, and then be like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that.
Or what if she just actually makes a gag sound like,
I would not be surprised, dude.
Oh my god, I can't. This is a public PSA.
Don't touch her.
No, when I do that, it's not on you, it's me, okay? Also, don't touch me. Anyways, let's not talk about my issues. People are gonna be like, Vicky, you need to go to therapy for this. We're moving on to you two, please.
What was even the question?
What was the question?
Is the way that your parents show love, is that how you show love to other people?
I would say the way I show love is pretty similar to my mom's, except I'm a little bit more touchy or lovey-dovey, I guess, compared to her to an SO. Like, I like... I'm just trying to think, like... what did I even say about this? Like, ooh.
You guys, we need to not do that. Like, we need to stop doing that because then it becomes normal for us. So no visible gagging or freaking reacting, okay?
No, I'm just trying to think. Like, they're just awkward to talk about.
I'm literally just imagining the next time any of us dates and then suddenly we come back and be like, bruh, we just gagged in front of this guy.
No, dude, okay, I think my thing is I just can't talk about it. I feel weird talking about these things, but I could show it. If I was in front of my SO or whatever, I'm comfortable with showing these things and doing it, but if you ask me to talk about it, then I get a little
But
awkward.
do you get awkward hearing about it? Like if we were to tell you?
No.
Okay.
Like if we said we love you?
No. I'm talking about like if I were to tell you about me and my SOs, like physical touches or like words of, love languages, stuff like that.
No, I don't want to get awkward listening to it or anything. Maybe if is my SO telling me about what I do, then I might get a little bit awkward because it's, myself. But it's just hard for me to talk about it.
But when it comes to just strictly between you and your SO, you're like perfectly fine with the affirmation and physical touch and stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like the SO really depends. Sometimes I'm more of physical touch and less of affirmation, or sometimes I'm more of one thing than the other thing. It really depends on the other person.
Okay. I don't think the way that my parents show love affect me. The biggest thing I have trouble sometimes expressing is to my friends. Like, I'm not a, okay, bye, like, I love you kind of person. Like, you guys know that we love each other as friends, and that's fine. Like, I don't need to tell you every day, and you don't need to tell me every day.
That sounded so weird. The fact that you're like, yeah, we love each other.
Do you not? I do. Okay, that just sounded so weird.
It sounded weird too, coming out of my mouth. I was like, oh, I already said it. Can't take it back. Imagine at the end of our FaceTimes, never mind. I don't want to say it.
Every time she hangs up, she says the 3 words.
That's so interesting though, because I've heard I love you from Jam so many times when she's drunk. So it's not a foreign thing.
But it's foreign if I'm completely sober telling you it.
True. Very true. Anyway, for example, growing up with Dahi, she's one of my childhood Asian friends. She's a very physical touch person. So even when we'd hang out or like chill, she'd be like all up in my grill. You know, Korean culture is very like aegyo and like touchy and like cuddling and stuff is very normal. I'd literally be like, get off me. Even if she like rests her head on my shoulder, no. But then when it comes to like thinking of a partner or SO, I have no problem with it. I won't be that person to be super PDA in public, but I feel like between us 3, we've talked about it too. I feel like I could be the most, not romantic, but affectionate. And I would want to be too. And it's not hard for me to imagine. So like, yeah.
See, the thing is, it's not that I don't like physical touch. I do. I just get very anxious about it for some odd reason. Like, I want to be, especially now that I'm here in Korea, I see touching so often, like between guys, between girls, having their hand around someone's shoulder or like girls linking hands and stuff. And I'm like, that's so wholesome and like innocent, and I'm totally fine with that. But the idea of initiating that, like, let's say if I linked my hands with you two and we're not drunk, like that idea is so foreign to me.
I think the other person has to be more affectionate than me, and I'll be completely fine with it.
See, you're like me.
Not as bad as Vicky, okay? Shit. Don't insult me like that. I'm just kidding.
not bad.
It's okay. You show it to your parents, so we balance each other out. Even in stuff like this, we balance each other out.
I'll teach you how to love your parents. You teach me how to love my significant other.
Okay.
This is like the analogy I said. We are literally a tripod. You know, if we miss one of the legs, it just goes imbalance.
When did you ever make that analogy that we were tripods?
I think you only made that to me, Jamila.
Oh,
That's
to me.
why. I was like,
I feel like we kind of answered this, maybe not. I don't know if you guys on like psychology TikTok, but then someone had a video that went viral where it's like, if you think about your top love languages, it is what you lacked growing up because you want to get something that you never received. Do you guys feel like that's something that's true for you?
My love languages changes depending on the person and the situation. So for example, if I was in a long distance relationship, then my top one would be quality time or physical touch because I can't see the person. But let's just say if I was in a relationship where I wasn't really confident in myself or the other guy, then maybe words of affirmation is on top.
first of all, I strongly agree with that because I never thought I would be a words of affirmation type of person until I was with, because of the lack of confidence, that's when I thought I needed it. So it really depends on who you're with at the time. But I also strongly disagree that I seek types of love more in aspects that my parents gave less to me. Like, I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, I feel like that's the weird thing about being Asian is even though we never got words of affirmation, we never got your typical way of receiving love, we all understand that our parents love us and there's no questioning that. Like, I don't fucking need words of affirmation. Keep your words to yourself.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I think that I might agree more with if maybe you had like a childhood kind of traumatic experience that made you seek out those things in life. But other than that, no.
So we talked a little bit about how, you know, we show love to our SO, but bringing it back to our parents, do you guys think that our parents are in love with each other?
100%. My parents are so in love. It's kind of ridiculous.
You mean cute?
Shouldn't you be happy that your parents are
Yeah,
in
what
love?
the heck?
First word she uses to describe is ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. I'm so confused because
I-
Vicky has that example, so I would think that's what she wants, but it doesn't.
No, because I seem. I grew up with my dad, like, still 20 years in their marriage, still does like head ass shit with her. And I'm just like, no.
Dude, whenever she says head ass, it's not even head ass. It's like, Vicky, I
Yeah.
think you just
No. Let me tell you, my dad loves to like be extra with romantic gestures. Like, he's a go big or go home person. And so many times on their anniversaries, like, this is supposed to be cute. I'm just saying it as if it's really negative, but it's cute. My mom is the one who picks up my sister and I to go home. And so we're always the last one home and my dad gets off work before us. So he like lays out the whole house with candles and has roses. And then we used to have like a toy car that like is remote controlled. So he hears my mom coming home with us. So he would like set up the car. And when she opens the door, he would like drive a card or like a gift to her feet type of thing. That's head ass. Tell me that's
so
not head ass.
cute.
I think it's romantic, but
Please don't ever do that for me. Please.
yeah, I don't ever want to see that either. I don't like romantic stuff. Like cheesy.
I just
This
don't
is
like,
so
like,
cheesy.
yeah. I don't like grand gestures. If you propose to me, at max have 5 people there or I don't know how to react.
Well, Sharon and I are 2 of them already. So
Your sister.
And then my family,
Oh wow,
so
that's
that's it.
perfect.
Exactly. It's more so like I don't know how to react if there's way too many people and I'm going to disappoint you with my reaction. I don't do grand gestures well.
I don't mind grand gestures, but I don't like cheesy stuff. I can't
Yeah,
with cheesy.
That's very cheesy.
That's not even that cheesy because you're in a private setting. Like, I understand if it's like, oh, you're in public and it's kind of everywhere, then I'd be like, oh, you know, I also feel like I don't know how to act. But if it's private and it's not in like a showy way, that's fine. No? Are you guys okay?
I guess.
If I witnessed it, I
We're
think it's
not
really
okay.
cute. But if my asshole did it to me, I just prefer another way of celebrating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'll still appreciate it, but just
Yeah,
up my alley kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think maybe because I just saw it so much between my mom and dad.
So like Mark Twain did that. You also feel the same way, like cheesy. I just need to throw a scenario out there to know if it's
Yeah.
really.
I would literally laugh.
Oh my
Like-
god! You know, maybe I'll be the same way if I experienced it. Maybe if someone was extremely cheesy to me, then I'd be like, oh yeah, no, this isn't it. But you know, that hasn't really happened. So maybe that's why I like to think that I would be fine with it. But I don't know. So
Assurance exes. Why didn't it happen, huh?
let's not go there because I didn't do it either. So I'm more of a subtle gift giver. Like give you something that you know that I remembered this. Stuff like that. Kind of like my parents, but not a whole ordeal.
See, I'm more likely to be affectionate to you if you do something small like that. Like if you remembered that I said I like this chocolate and you saw it at the grocery store and you bought it for me, I would more likely to tell you that I love you and like kiss you afterwards when you give me that than when you like do a whole gesture of laying out roses and candles. I'll be like,
Oh yeah, I agree. Maybe I agree then. I don't know. Anyway, the question was about your parents being in love. Vicky? Was that a yes?
oh yeah, they're 100%
Okay.
in love.
I do think my parents are in love. I think when I was younger, I didn't think about it as much, but now that I'm older, especially because I've been living at home, I could see the way that my dad cares for my mom and vice versa, and I could say that they are in love and they will, spend the rest of their lives together. I realized my dad is definitely a super acts of service person. He doesn't really ever say it. He just does it and he's always there like to support and stuff.
See, for my parents, I feel like they are extremely traditional and extremely Asian, where like I can't even say, do I think my parents know what love is? Like we've talked about this privately, but I feel like the generation of us versus, or specifically my parents, it seems like forever years apart, even though it's really not. And why I say that is because like, you know how in Asian like culture, it's very, or even back then, marriages were usually arranged, or like you marry because that's the way of life and you have children and that's essentially life. And I feel like my parents are kind of like that, where they married because they found each other, they found partnership in each other, and we want to raise a family and stuff like that. But would I say like they exemplify what I think love is? Like true love, like love of your life, not love for your life? I don't know. No.
Question. So have you ever seen your parents doing any type of lovey-dovey stuff to each other? Because I've seen it a lot, honestly.
No. You know, it's like it's not in a negative light at all. I feel like I need to put that disclaimer out there, but no, I agree. It's very like traditional, where it's very acts of service and they're married for life and they do things together for their children and for the sake of the family. But like, it's not like, I don't know.
I think your parents are just more so in the beginning of their generation kind of mindset, where I think Vicky's and my parents are more Western or more of this progressive, like newer generation mindset.
No, like my parents are super, super traditional. And I think it also, like a big part has to do with where I grew up, which we talked about in our last episode. But because they don't have that much exposure to Western culture where we are, I think that's why they stay remaining like typical traditional Asian stereotype kind of thing.
Wait, sorry, Vicky, I have a question. So remember in that one episode we did where we were basically saying on a wedding day we can't imagine making out in front of our parents, right? Making out with our husband. So have you ever seen your parents kiss in front and stuff?
Like a peck, not full on make out. Oh, no. I've seen like them peck for like a picture, or sometimes like on the anniversary, like a kiss on the cheek or something.
Okay, I was just wondering if you ever even saw that, and if you didn't, it will be weird because you said your parents were super lovey-dovey.
No, I'm telling you, my parents are lovey-dovey. Like I need them to stop lovey-dovey.
No, yeah, see, I'll see like my parents, like, you know, the subtle like link arms, or, you know, like my dad, like arm around the shoulder kind of thing, but that's pretty much about it.
Do you think your parents loves you more or their partner more?
Me.
Well, my dad loves my mom more, but my mom loves us more. Like 100%. Me and my sisters talked about this. We're totally fine with it because my mom deserves all the love in the world. Like, it's not like my dad doesn't love us, you know, but it's clear that he, like, the scenario where if my mom, my sister, and I were drowning in a water, who would he save? He'd save my mom.
Okay, actually, I think my dad would save my mom, but my mom would save me.
Yeah,
oh yeah, I
exactly.
think so too. Maybe the dads would save their wives, and then their wives would save their children. I like strongly believe in the I know your parents both love their children, but the connection that the moms have specifically with their children because she birthed them is like a different kind of connection.
I agree.
Because we're literally from our mother.
Man, I gotta learn how to swim, so my dad only has to save my mom, and I'll be fine.
So that was our take on Asian love. If anyone feels the same way as me, let me know so I don't think I'm weird. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
How did your parents love you growing up?
I wasn't really into love languages until I started like dating.
If you say Mark Twain, I was gonna be like, bitch.